Good morning, students. Today we have to study next 2 points, that is 2.2.2 pistil, megasporangium, ovule and embryo sac, and 2.2.3 pollination, kinds of pollination, agents of pollination. Both these points belong from chapter 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, which comes under unit 6, reproduction. Pistil, megasporangium, ovule and embryo sac. The gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower. It consists of pistil, which is also called as a carpel. Pistil or carpel, it may be monocarpellary, multicarpellary, syncarpous or apocarpous. Monocarpellary means gynoecium consisting of a single pistil or carpel, means monocarpellary. When gynoecium consists of more than one pistil, it is called as a multicarpellary. When gynoecium with fused pistil or carpel, it is called as a syncarpous, and gynoecium with free pistil or carpel, it is called as a apocarpous. So carpel, it may be monocarpellary, multicarpellary, syncarpous or apocarpous. So here you will find the parts of a pistil, that is, it is mainly consisting of the stigma, style and ovary. These are female reproductive part of a flower. Each pistil has three parts: stigma, style and ovary. Stigma. Stigma is the tip of the pistil that serve as a landing platform for pollen grains. Second, style. Style is the elongated slender part below the stigma, and ovary is the basal bulged part of the pistil. So here you will find the three parts of the pistil. The first part where the pollen grains are landed, that is called as a stigma. Second part is a style, and the last part is the ovule, that is style ends into the ovule. So these are three parts of the pistil: stigma, style and the ovary or ovule. The cavity present inside the ovary is called ovarian cavity, which is also called locule. The megasporangium, commonly called ovules, arises from the placenta. The number of ovules in an ovary may be one, like example is the wheat, paddy, mango, or many, papaya, watermelon, orchids, etc. Next is megasporangium, that is the ovule. The ovule is a small structure attached to the placenta with a stalk called funicle. The body of the ovule fuses with funicle in the region called hilum. Each ovule has one or two protective envelopes called integuments. Integuments encircle the ovule except at the tip. The small opening present at the tip is called micropyle. This is the characters of a ovule or megasporangium. Opposite to microphylla end, the chalaza is present. It represents the basal part of ovule. The integument encloses a mass of cell called nucellus. These cells have abundant reserve food material. The embryo sac or female gametophyte is located in the nucellus. An ovule generally has a single embryo sac formed from a megaspore through reduction division. So this is the diagrammatic view of typical anatrophous ovule. So just now I have explained you the parts, that is the funicle. The stalk is called as a funicle. The hilum, where it attaches to the ovule. Then micropyle, it is the opening. Then there are two protective coverings, outer integument and inner integument. So these two integuments are protective in function, and here a minute opening called micropyle where the integuments are absent. And centrally, embryo sac is present, which is surrounded by nucellus which is acting as a nutritive function. So these are the parts of a typical anatrophous ovule, and basal part of this ovule is called as a chalazal pole. Generally, you have to practice for the diagram, and you must able to label it correctly. Next, the process, megasporogenesis. The process of formation of megaspores from the megaspore mother cell is called megasporogenesis. Ovules generally differentiate a single megaspore mother cell in a microfillar region of the nucellus. The MMC means megaspore mother cell, undergoes meiotic division. The majority of flowering plants, one of the megaspore is function while others three degenerate. So the process of formation of megaspores from megaspore mother cell is called megasporogenesis. We have already know about the microsporogenesis. There we have studied the process of formation of microspores from the pollen mother cell is called as a microsporogenesis. Question may come, differentiate between microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. Genesis means formation. When the megaspores are formed, but they are formed from the megaspore mother cell, and microspores are formed from the pollen mother cells. Here, the next point is to know how the development takes place. Only the functional megaspore develops into the female gametophyte. The nucleus of the functional megaspore divides mitotically to form two nuclei. These two move to the opposite poles, forming two nucleate embryo sac. The two more sequential mitotic nuclear divisions results in the formation of 8 nucleate stage of the embryo sac. One nucleus from each fold comes to the center of the embryo sac. They fuse together and they form secondary nucleus. The 3 nuclei at chalazal end forms antipodal. The 3 nuclei at microfillar end organize into the egg apparatus. They are identified into 2 synergids and egg between them. The angiosperm embryo sac at maturity, though 8 nucleated 7 cell stage. It is a 8 nucleated 7 cell stage. In this diagram, you will see here the functional megaspore. The nucleus divides into 2. They move towards the opposite pole. So this is the 2 nucleated nucleoembryo sac. Then again, a nucleus division takes place mitotically. 2 becomes 4 and 4 becomes 8. Now here 8 nucleus are present. Out of this 8 nucleus, 2 are present in the central cell, and remaining 6, they form a boundary wall around it, and out of that 3 are the antipodals and 3 are the move towards this microfillar end, and out of these 3, the 2 are synergids and 1 is egg. So totally, if you observe this stage, it is a 7 cell 8 nucleate cell stage. So this is a central cell. Here there are 3 synergids and egg, and here there are 3. So 3 plus 3 6, and here this is a central cell 7 cell. But how many nuclei? 8 nucleate stage. So here you will find the correct idea. Chalazal and it is having 3 antipodals. Then central cell are having 2 polar nuclei. And towards the microfillar end, you will find 2 synergids and the egg. So in this way, the mature embryo is having the 7 cell 8 nucleate stage. Our next point is 2.2.3 pollination, kinds of pollination and agents of pollination. So first, what is meant by the pollination? Definition is transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of pistil is called pollination. So pollen grains are transferred from anther to the stigma of pistil is called pollination. Now there are 3 types. The first is autogamy, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower. Same flower, it is called autogamy. Auto means self. In these flowers, anther and stigma lie close together so that self-pollination can occur. So first type is autogamy. where you will find the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the same flower. In autogamy, there are two types of flowers are present, chasmogamous flowers and clistogamous flowers. So some plants produces two types of flowers. For example, the Viola oxalis flowers with exposed anther and stigma are called chasmogamous flowers, and flowers which do not open at all, they are called as the clistogamous flowers. The second type is geitonogamy, where transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of different flower of the same plant. Different flower of the same plant. It is called as a geitonogamy. Genetically, it is similar to autogamy because pollen grains come from the same plant. The third type is xenogamy, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of different plant of the same species. When transfer takes place to the different plant of the same species, then it is called as a xenogamy. So here you will find three main types of pollination: autogamy, which is also called self-pollination. Transfer takes place within the same flower. Geitonogamy, here the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma takes place to the same flower, from one flower to the another plant, but the same plant. And here you will find in xenogamy, the transfer takes place between two flowers of the different plants, but same species. So these are the three types of pollination: autogamy, geitonogamy, and xenogamy. Next is agents of pollination. Plants use two abiotic agents, non-living, wind and water, and biotic agents are animals agents. When the animals are performing the pollination, it is called as a biotic agents. So living and non-living. Abiotic are non-living, wind and water, and living are biotic animals agents. To achieve the pollination, so there are two types of the agents: biotic animals and abiotic, wind and water. Majority of the plants use biotic agents for pollination. Only a small proportion of plants use abiotic agents. So anemophily, the pollination occurred by effect of wind as the agent is called anemophily. When the pollination is brought by the wind, it is called as a anemophily. When the pollination is brought by the water, the pollination occurred by the effect of water as an agent in hydrophytes, it is called hydrophily. Third is zoophily. Pollination occurred by the effect of animals as agent is called zoophily. Next is the entomophily. The pollination occurred by the effect of insects as an agent, it is called entomophily. And last one is ornithophily. The pollination occurred by the effect of birds as an agent, it is called ornithophily. So these are the different types of the pollination depending upon the agents. The first one is the anemophily, wind; hydrophily, water; zoophily, animals; entomophily, insects; and ornithophily, birds. So first one is anemophily. It is the pollination by wind. Small flowers are pollinated by anemophily. These plants produce enormous amount of pollen grains. So grasses, rice, bamboo, sugarcane, etc., they are mainly pollinated by wind. Here you will find the photographs of the examples: grasses, bamboo, etc. The main characteristics are the anemophilous flowers are small and never colored. They are odorless, never produce the nectar. Pollen grains are very small, dry, and lightweight. Stigma are hairy and branch to trap the pollen grains floating in air. So the anemophilous flowers have the pollen grains which are small, dry, and lightweight, and stigma is hairy and branch to trap the pollen grains floating in the air. Next is hydrophily. It is a pollination by water. Very few aquatic plants undergoes hydrophily. When the pollination occurs below the water level, it is called hypohydrogamic. It is seen plants like hydrilla. So here you will find the pollination takes place below the water level. Therefore, it is called hypohydrogamic. Next, when pollination occurs at water level, it is called epihydrogamic. It is seen plants like Vallisneria. When it is occurs at water level, it is called epihydrogamic. Example is the Vallisneria. In another aquatic plants like water hyacinth, Eichhornia, water lily, flowers emerges out of water and pollination occur by wind and insects. So even they are aquatic plants, so the aquatic plants they emerges out of water, and here you will find the pollination occur by wind or insects. So Vallisneria, the submerged aquatic plant, the male flowers open at water surface. The released pollen grains floats on the water current. The pedicel of female flower elongates till it reaches the water surface to contact with pollen grains. So in plants like Vallisneria, you can see that the pollen grains float on the water current because here the male flowers open at water surface. So pollen grains are flowing, and at that time the pedicel of female flower elongates and it reaches the water surface to contact the pollen grains. Next, zoophyte. It is a pollination by animals like insects, bee, wasp, and birds, bats, etc. Majority of the plants are pollinated by insects. So, what are the characteristic feature of entomophilous flowers? We have to see that the flowers are fragrant and omits odor, jasmine rose. The flowers are colorful to attract the insects. The nectar gland produces nectar to feed visiting insects. The pollen grains are sticky or spiny. It helps to attach the body of visiting insects. To catch pollen grains, the stigma becomes sticky. So all these are the characteristics of the flowers which are pollinated by the insects. To attract the insects, the flowers are fragrant, they are colorful, and mainly the pollen grains are sticky. The plant yucca plant is pollinated by moth. The moth and yucca cannot complete their life without each other. So this is one interesting example. You can see that moth bores a hole in the ovary to lay its eggs. Then it collects the pollen grains from several flowers and pushes into hollow end of the stigma. After fertilization, seeds development, the larvae of the moth feed on the developing seeds. The unconsumed seeds disperse to propagation. Thus, moth cannot survive without moth. The yucca cannot reproduce sexually without moth. So, they are depend on each other. In today's presentation, we have studied about the pistil, megasporangium and embryo sac, and also about the pollination. Thank you.